This is the brand new 2021 GMC Yukon, which has been redesigned from the ground up. It's bolder on the outside and more luxurious on the inside. This new Yukon also grows in size and moves to an independent rear suspension. This could be the best full-size SUV on the market today. If you're interested, keep watching and let me show you around. Before I get started, I want to give a big thanks to Bill K. Buick GMC in Downers Grove. They made this video possible. So if you're in the market for a brand new Buick or GMC, definitely check them out. Their URL is on the screen and in the description of this video. First, let's start out with the outside. This brand new GMC Yukon is a stunning looking SUV. In my opinion, the best looking full-size SUV by far, not counting the luxury market. The front end is a lot bolder. The flat grille is straighter, bigger, and this Denali's grille has a ton of bling. In fact, according to GMC, there's over 1,000 reflective surfaces that make up this new grille. The new headlights are also stunning as well, very distinctive with its C-shaped daytime running lights and its stacked LED headlights. There are also stacked LED fog lights below. The bottom bumper also has a few silver trim pieces that make everything pop. The side profile is what a large full-size SUV should look like. Tall roof, big windows, and high ground clearance. I think there's just the right amount of chrome around the windows, and it matches a strip on the bottom and also matches the aluminum roof rails. This Yukon Denali has the premium package, which upgrades the 20-inch wheels to 22 inches. They look great and matches the rest of the Yukon very nicely. The back of the Yukon has a spoiler on top, a very large privacy glass, and two C-shaped LED taillights that match the front headlights. Toward the bottom, the quad chrome exhaust tips definitely make a statement. Now, the tailgate is not only powered but also comes with a hands-free feature. There is a lot more cargo room now in the Yukon, including behind the third row seats. There's nothing on the left side, but on the right side there's a household outlet and power switches for the second and third row. There's also some hidden storage underneath. Now the power folding third row seats are actually very fast, so you don't have to wait years for them to fold in either direction. And same goes for the second row, which slams down even faster. After everything is folded down, you can see all the seats are completely flat. Very nice. When you move to the second row, you'll see that the power steps come out. This is part of the premium package. Everything inside is covered in perforated leather. The captain chair setup has a ton of room in the middle for passengers to slide through. But if you wanted to fold the seats forward, GMC has you covered. Simply pull on this lever twice and the seat folds down and then forward without any effort, and you're left with a ton of space to get in the third row. With the third row slid all the way back, they hit my knees, but I would be fine if they were slightly forward. The third row is also elevated, so overall it's not too bad for adults. There's a vent, cup holder, and a USB port on both sides. To get out, simply press the power button on the side and voila, the seats fold forward for you and that's it. In the second row, there's also plenty of space. I'm 5 feet 10 and I have a good 6 to 8 inches of legroom and about 3 to 4 inches of headroom. I like how the slider lever is next to the recline lever on the side, which is very convenient. There's also a pair of cup holders, very fancy adjustable climate controls, heated seats, 2 USB ports, and a household outlet. Now, moving up front, you're bathed with elegance and style that has never been inside a Yukon before, or any GMC for that matter. This is light years ahead of anything in this segment. The steering wheel still looks a bit truckish, but the leather feels very, very nice. The buttons on the right side control the info screen inside the gauge cluster, along with voice and phone controls. Buttons on the left control the adaptive cruise control and the heated steering wheel function. There's also buttons for volume behind the steering wheel on the right side and preset selector on the left side. Now, the gauge cluster is a mix of new and old. There's an analog speedometer and analog tachometer, but inside the middle, you're given a big digital info screen. Besides displaying a lot of usual gauges, there's a plethora of menus you can scroll through, like info, music, navigation, phone, and settings. Now to the left of the steering wheel, you have a ton of buttons. Starting from the top left, you have a parking brake, then you have a few buttons for the lane assist and parking sensors, and traction control and hill descent. There's also a button for the engine auto start stop function, and finally a switch for the outlets inside. And to the right of that, you have 3 dedicated switches for the heads-up display. One to adjust the vertical adjustment, one to adjust what is being displayed, and one is to adjust the brightness. Moving to the bottom, you have your 4-wheel drive selector, and finally your controls for your lights. Below your window switches, there are 2 memory seat buttons, and you also get power folding mirrors. To the right of the steering wheel, you have this new button style shifter that replaces the stock shifter. The implementation actually works and saves a lot of space. I like it. Now moving to this gorgeous 10.2-inch infotainment system, this is a beautiful system and a beautiful touchscreen. It's very easy to see, very easy to navigate with no lag whatsoever. You can scroll through music, phone, navigation, and climate controls very easily. This Yukon also gets wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto along with Wi-Fi hotspot. Look at this 9-camera system on this Yukon, the best I've ever tested. Default, you get a 360 view on the left side, but you can also see what's ahead of you, behind you, what's next to you up front, and what's next to you in the rear. There is also a trailer hookup view, and finally a trailer view behind you. The screen is bright with high resolution, and again, this is simply the best I've used before. Below, you have some physical knobs for volume and scrolling, and also physical buttons for menu, back, and scrolling left and right for the infotainment screen. Climate control is dominated with 2 large temperature control knobs. In the middle, you have all your modes and defroster options and fan speed control. You can also turn off the rear climate control if you wanted to. And there are buttons for the heated seats and ventilated seat options. Underneath the bottom cover, you have wireless charging along with 2 USB ports and a household outlet. You also get 2 cup holders, a place for your phone in the middle of the very large armrest, and inside there's a ton of storage space and 2 more USB ports. Now the premium package adds on a rear camera mirror, which is very useful if you're carrying people or luggage in a third row. The premium package also adds on a dual pane panoramic sunroof on top. It lets a ton of light in. There's also buttons on top to fold the second row seats down, and also HomeLink buttons. Okay, next, let's talk about what's under the hood. Base Yukons get a 5.3-liter V8 that produces 355 horsepower. Now this is carried over from the last generation, however it is now mated to a 10-speed automatic, and the cylinder deactivation is improved. This Denali comes with an optional 6.2-liter V8 that produces 420 horsepower, and it is also mated to a 10-speed auto. Later on, GMC will introduce a diesel engine option that you can select. Alright, I'm off. Let's see how good this brand new Yukon is on the road and also how it drives. Once you get inside a Yukon, you realize how high up you sit. And I love it. I love this commanding view. You just see well over everyone else, right? If you're on the shorter side, you might have a hard time getting in, but that is why GMC includes those power steps for you. As soon as you open the door, they come out, so you're on the shorter side, or your spouse, your kids, they'll have no problems getting inside. And once you're inside, you're sitting like a king, like above everyone. Now, besides the height, everything else about this Yukon is enormous. Enormous. Very wide, very long. And if you didn't have all the technology that's in here, it would be quite difficult to navigate parking lots. If you're going to a grocery store, I don't know, movie theater, Home Depot, wherever, right? Sometimes there's a lot of cars and it would be really hard to navigate this, but no worries. You have parking sensors front and rear. And also all the cameras I showed you, all the camera views, you get a 360 view and you can see what's left of you, right of you, what's behind you, everything. Pretty much it makes it a breeze to get in and out of anywhere, and it makes it really safe, and that's awesome. One of the biggest changes that GMC made on this Yukon is switching over to independent rear suspension from a live axle setup. It helps tremendously with cargo room in the back and passenger space that I talked about already, but also helps with the comfort, how it feels. And right now on normal roads, I love the suspension. It's soaking up everything. It really is. Even with these large 22-inch wheels, I don't really feel much from the road. And the suspension setup is the latest magnetic ride suspension, which means it actually adjusts to the road. It calculates and makes all these decisions and just makes everything feel smooth and comfortable. And even around bends and curves, I don't feel a lot of body roll. It's actually doing a good job with body roll too. So suspension in here is quite nice. The steering is also a surprise in a good way. It's actually a lot more precise than I expected. Very little play in the steering wheel before I feel input. Also, it has a good weight, but it's also light, which makes it really easy to turn this big beast of a SUV, in parking lots and stuff. It's actually quite light, but it has still a good feel to it. So I like this steering feel, and the steering wheel, even though it doesn't look the best, it feels pretty good. The leather feels good. It's not slippery. It actually feels like real leather rather than fake leather. So overall, I like this steering. Now, as for cabin noise, it's well insulated, but I do hear a little bit from cars passing by and also wind noise. Today's actually a really windy day, so that might be the thing. I do hear a little bit from the wind, but nothing really from the road. The tires are very quiet, so it's well insulated in here. The engine, I do hear, that's not a bad noise. Big V8, I like that sound, but there isn't a lot of exhaust noise. I would have preferred a little bit throatier exhaust, which you really don't get much of. It's really muted down. Now this 10-speed on this Yukon is doing its job beautifully. I notice 0 shifts. It's just doing its thing. And I've tested a lot of 9-speeds and 10-speeds in the past where they were just too busy. Always hunting for the right gear, and also manufacturers trying to save gas, so it makes the transmission upshift really fast, and also it's geared really low, so it just doesn't feel very good. A lot of the cars I actually put into sport mode to make it a little bit more lively around town. I don't get that problem. I don't get that problem in this Yukon. This 10-speed is really well tweaked and it feels really good around town. Now, something really cool is part of the warning safety features in here. You get a warning, not a chime or a light that gets displayed, but you feel it on your butt because it's built into the seat. So if you're trying to make a lane change, or someone in your blind spot, or emergency braking, something, or your parking sensor is trying to warn you, rather than a chime, you'll feel it in your seat. And I think that's really cool. I don't see any other manufacturer doing that. All right, let's test out acceleration. Pretty good. Pretty good for such a big SUV. So at full throttle, I definitely heard a little bit more exhaust noise. So I like that, a throatier V8. The engine made a lot of noise, but this Yukon actually accelerated pretty fast. Keep in mind, it's a big engine, big V8, 420 horsepower. This is definitely not a slow SUV by any means. It's actually pretty quick, and I really enjoyed that. The only problem with having a big V8 like this is fuel economy, which isn't the greatest. Combined, 16. 14 in the city, 19 on the highway, 16 overall combined. So, not the greatest with fuel economy. In terms of safety features, you get everything on this Yukon Denali. So, things such as emergency braking, front and rear, warning, pedestrian warning and detection, lane assist, lane change alert, blind spot monitoring, everything you can think of. On this Denali, you also get enhanced auto braking and also adaptive cruise control. But yeah, it's pretty safe. Everything you can think of, and I mentioned about the sensors already and the camera views, I mean, everything you think of, you get on this Yukon Denali. As I'm cruising and just kind of reflecting on this cabin, yeah, this is a good cabin. GMC spent a lot of time thinking about this cabin and designing in a way that just makes sense. It looks good, it feels good, and it just works. It just works. All the surfaces that you can touch and feel, you know, everywhere that you can rest your hands on is covered in this soft leather. The way that the dash is designed, and this large infotainment screen, this 10-inch screen, the interface and how it looks, one of the best out there. And even this new style shifter, which I wasn't a fan of before, you know, now playing around with it and looking at how it integrates with everything, it just makes sense. It just does, and it saves a lot of space. I mean, this cabin is really good. I really enjoy this cabin. All right, I purposely picked a small parking lot. I parked in between two cars. This is a very tight spot. And I'm doing this because I want to show you guys all the sensors and cameras that make it really, really easy to get in and out of tight parking spots like this. So, first of all, go into reverse, right? You could see a 360 view, right? There's a car that's really close next to me on both sides and what's behind me. And if I switch to this view, you could see, right? Not a lot of space, but I'm gonna go back to the normal view and let me back out. I feel vibrations in my butt. So the Yukon is telling me, be careful. Right, now I'm turning. This 360 view gives you a really good idea what's around you, right? There's a car behind me, but I'm not that close yet, right? And now it shows me what's in front of me, and now I could get out. Right? It really makes this camera system and the parking sensors really makes it easy to get in and out of spots. You know, most heads-up displays, very narrow strip, and on this one, it's a big square, and I like it. It's in your face, but you could adjust it easily because of these switches that I showed you guys. You could adjust it up and down, the brightness, what gets displayed, really easy at your fingertips. I love that. And also, it gives you a lot of useful information. And the one I like the most is default view, where you see your speed and your speed limit sign. Also, it shows you your Yukon in between the lanes. It'll warn you if there's someone in your blind spot. But it also shows you the car ahead of you, and it'll tell you at your current speed how long it takes for you to catch up to that person. So if someone's ahead of you, even if they're not that close, it'll tell you, hey, you're like 5 seconds away or 3 seconds away. It gives you a little bit more information that I don't see from any other heads-up display. To be completely honest, GMC has done such a good job with this brand new Yukon. I could say this is one of my favorite cars of all time now. In terms of all the cars I've tested, this is definitely up there. It's that good. So next, let me talk about the trim levels and pricing, and also give you my final thoughts.
There are 4 trim levels to the brand new Yukon: the base SLE, then SLT, AT4, and finally the Denali. The base price for a 4x4 SLE Yukon starts around $55,000. The AT4, with its unique exterior and interior looks and off-road equipment, comes in around $66,000. The Denali I'm driving today starts under $73,000. The premium package, which I mentioned a lot in this video, comes in at additional $7,000. So the total price for the one I'm reviewing today, after destination charge, comes in at $79,390. To conclude, the brand new 2021 Yukon is simply amazing. Every so often, you see a manufacturer leapfrog itself above all others, and that's what GMC did with the Yukon. The exterior looks bold and aggressive, the interior is very functional and stylish, the technology and the drive have been upgraded in a big way. Lack of space and cargo room are things you won't hear anyone complain about with the new Yukon. The things that hold the Yukon back are its high price tag, its lackluster fuel economy, and number of cup holders. In case you're wondering, there's only 6 compared to say 19 in the Subaru Ascent. Overall, I'm giving a brand new Yukon a score of 106, which makes it a leader of the SUV segment. To see how it compares to others, check out driversonlyrankings.com. Thanks for watching, hit the like and subscribe to the channel for more reviews, first looks, and news.